Königssee, Bavaria, just outside the town of Viesturs. We are at the oldest artificial ice track on the planet in one of the most stunning locations for sliding. As we get into the second heat, race 7 of 8 to the BMW IBSF Women's Skeleton World Cup. Good morning, everybody. Martin Haven and John Morgan ready for action in Heat 2. And John, as we might expect, the local heroine has a battle on her hands.
Well, this Jacqueline Lowen, the 18th best start time at the top of the track, but one of the queens of speed on the German team, who's medaled on this track every time she's been on it. She flew on the bottom. She looked like she was going to be the leader, but not. I mean, Nikitina went before the other two German athletes. She broke the track record at the start. At the bottom, it looked like no one was going to catch this Russian rocket, female version, and, you know, she looked like she wasn't going to get caught. But then this Tina Hermann comes down, the world champion. She won the event last year. The 17th best start. Look at her feet, look at her form. Best speed all over the place. Broke the track record. Got below 51 seconds. Wow, Martin, Tina Hermann is on her game this season for sure. Under 51 seconds, pretty shocking.
Fresh off her first win of the year last week in Samritz. She was thrilled with that. She struggled at the beginning of the season. 7th place in the season opener, very unlike her, but she has a tight battle on her hands. The tight battles all the way up and down the order. It's been another super competitive race, and one of the outstanding runs in the first heat was from Great Britain's Brogan Crowley, 6th fastest. Let's see if she can hold that together. Elena Scarpolini, one of our 2 rookies in the field, does not get to go in the second heat. Only the fastest 20 go through. So we will start with Nicole Silveira of Brazil and go down to Tina Hermann. And as the day warms up, there's every chance that Elena Nikitina there and possibly Tina Hermann might break the track record again. Janine Flock of Austria, as ever, in the hunt. She's in 4th place, just 200s out of the medals. Jacqueline Lerling, the winner on this track 3 years in a row, including the World Championships in 2017. That's Lerling's only World Championship title. It must still smart to Hermann that of her 3 World Championships, she didn't win any of them at home. So maybe that is another little bit of revenge that she's looking for. Well, there is the Grunstein Mountain just above the track. And there is your start list. Nicole Silveira, rookie Kelly Curtis made the cut in 19th place. And Dia Tarada of Latvia will be next up. Really disappointing first run from Russia's Yulia Kanakina. She's behind Maddie Smith and Kimberly Boss. Boss also off form here, really. She's had better results here. Katie Yolanda, though, firmly in the top 10. And there are some very close battles, so there could be a lot changing. Second and deciding heat in Königssee, Bavaria, race 7 of the BMW IBSF Women's Bobsleigh Skeleton World Cup. Nicole Silveira of Brazil gets us off and running. First ever race on this track, John. It's been a season of learning for the World Cup rookie.
Well, her gold medal this season was she's a nurse from Calgary, Martin, and a first responder, and I'm sure over here on this unbelievable 4 S's on top of this track. It's like a Disneyland ride if you get it right. But if you notice this track, Martin, it's short, it's tough to get down, it's tough to get down fast. We're going to see some beautiful pictures that the team presents us, how difficult this sport really is on this track.
Setting the speed in the first heat. She was first out. She's first out in the second heat as well. So Nicole Silveira across the line, 52.33, nearly a 10th better than, in fact, 1.1 seconds better than her first heat. And John, I think the track will be faster. We should see track records before the end of this heat.
We saw a lot of track records in the first heat, but Martin, it's perfect sliding conditions on a track that's always perfectly maintained, as you would expect from everything the Germans do in the sliding sports. You know, that's a hit She hit twice there, but that was a hard hit right there, Martin. Keep your eyes on this straightaway. It's not a straightaway, it's a bend away. This is the uphill section of the track. Boy, going uphill, tapping the walls, not what you want.
Nicole Silveira of Brazil is our race leader. Next up, World Cup rookie Kelly Curtis from the USA. Former heptathlete, sliding on a Schneider sled. And our reigning Intercontinental Cup champion. That's the second tier of sliding. Coach Matt Antoine had his last ever World Cup race here after a decade. Just 3 years ago on this track, a double Olympian, bronze medalist in Sochi, and his first European race coaching the US athletes.
Springfield College, you mentioned she's a heptathlete, you know, 14th best start in the first run, 5:15, 5:10, 500's better, that's huge. Martin, she had some mistakes coming down the track, especially in the straightaway coming up out of these 4 S's. Not the straightaway, but the bend away. So watch it here. 7,500's lead is a lot. She got really high, Martin, in the Kreisel. Let's see what she does this time.
Neat start from Kelly Curtis. Raced here 2 years ago in the Intercontinental Cup, second best speed, so the gap comes down a little. Was 1 second, now down to 8/10 at the line, nearly 9/10, 51.99. Again, 1 second nearly quicker than her first heat. So that...
Wow.
Do you know, I mean, these two athletes
That's amazing.
are relatively inexperienced on this track, but will Tina Herman go 9/10 quicker than the track record? Who knows?
I hope not. I can't believe it's below 51 seconds as it is, Martin. And you're talking about, you know, lowering another 40, 50 hundredths. I mean, look at her feet apart. You watch the form here in the Kreisel. The right toe you're going to see always dragging. The left toe comes up in the air a little bit. Last time she was way up there in the no man's land. And then you dive out of here for a slingshot effect. She was skidding there. But, you know, that Kreisel might be the most difficult Kreisel. I say that, but Altenburg's coming up in a couple weeks, too. So yeah. Good run for this.
That's no picnic either, is it? So Kelly Curtis, our race leader. And next up, Andia Tarauda of Latvia. Now, she had a little under 4/10 of a second advantage, 3600ths over Kelly Curtis. But one error on this track, and there are so many you can commit, could see that go away.
Yeah, not a very good starter. The 19th best start in the first run, 18th, so 5:25. That's 500 slower than the American Kelly Curtis went 500s faster. That 5:10 start time that Kelly Curtis had would have put her in the top 10 at the start in the first run. But this young Latvian came out with a bang. Her first event, first time we ever saw her. She won a bronze medal on her home track in Latvia. Since then, hasn't reached the top 10, Martin.
Yeah, it was that home track knowledge. She didn't repeat that in the second week in Latvia either. It was nowhere close. It was good ice on the first run of her career. 500's back, and she's just creeping in front. This could be very close at the line. Better speed than Kelly Curtis.
Speed, though. Best speed. She'll be the leader. 52.19. Well, she only goes 3300ths better, Martin.
Yeah,
compared to Kelly Curtis, went 9/10 better.
Yeah, she had 3600ths from the first heat, only 1600ths after 2 heats, so she was 2/10 slower on that run alone than Kelly Curtis.
Look at the technique. Look at her right hand. Look at like the sprinters with the way they got their fingers out. They're taught to sprint, hop on the sled, don't move it. You come out of the grooves here, no variance. This is a hard hit here. You'll see, I don't know, you'll see the good athletes won't hit that hard. You have to hit once in that bend away, Martin.
Well, there's Kelly Curtis on the right, new leader Andia Tarauda on the left-hand side. And only sliders and absolutely essential staff. This place is normally rocking, even on a Friday. It's full of school kids and parents and friends and family, but obviously sliding behind closed doors this season is the way to go. Third fastest starter in the field, 17th at the line. Was not a convincing first heat for Russia's Yulia Kanakina.
One of the lightest athletes in the field, the former ballerina. Look at the start, 4.99, matches her first time, but Martin, she just is pretty loose coming down the track. Watch her feet. You know, didn't have a lot of confidence, especially in the exit of the Kreisel. Who does? Huge lead, that's relative to the start, but this is where she starts to give it back.
Little better run through the Kreisel for Yulia, but in trouble as she gets down into the lower labyrinth. It's a real scramble there.
And she could watch, she could still be the leader, Martin, but this graveyard of time, the uphill section of the track, a lot of people could throw things away. She should be the leader. This is a much better run for her. 51.97, so 3,600. Coach Dan, he likes it. He didn't shake his head like that in the first run. But that was a much cleaner run. Much cleaner run for Yulia. Doesn't do well on this track. 20th place last year in this event, Martin. And when you have the third best start time, you should be doing better than that. Good athlete, though.
That was kind of a top 10 run.
This is where she excels. She's one of the top 3 starters on the planet. And look at the Darth Vader visor. Head down on the exit of the Kreisel. And this is where it's like big eyes time for everybody. Doesn't matter what sled you're on. She's the leader.
Next up, Maddie Smith of Great Britain from Hazley and Warwickshire. 13th best start, 16th at the bottom. This will be her last World Cup race of the season, not going to Innsbruck in a week's time. And then we'll have to wait for the BBSA, British Bobsleigh and Skeleton Association, to decide who goes to the World Championships. First time on this track on her new Bromley sled for this season. Let's see what she's got in Heat 2.
One of the taller athletes to compete on these little trays. You come down about 78, 79 miles an hour on this track. And the 4 S's, if you get them right, you exit like that. Come over here and tap the wall, that's the norm. And now watch the speed on the left. That'll be the telltale sign. $900 back on. Yeah, there wasn't much between them. She only had 900s in hand over Kanakina. She's got better speed, keeps it clean. Here we go, the gap will grow a fraction. Could still be single digits at the line. Well, that's what she needed, at least hold her place. It is pretty tight in this part of the top 20. So there is a possibility she could still gain from mistakes from other athletes. She went not a bad start.
Second better. Yeah.
Great exit out of the S's. Great speed. Here's the
she's
4 S's that, I mean, Martin, these 4 turns are like unbelievable. If you ever, I don't know if you've been down this track, but it is. Look at the exit. This is one of the best. A little bit of tap there coming into the wall, but that's the norm.
Oh, she's fighting for her place in the British skeleton setup. So let's hope that that is enough. Maddie Smith leads, 5 down, 15 to go here in Königssee. BMW IBSF Women's Skeleton World Cup, 7th stop on the tour in Königssee, Bavaria. Martin Haven and John Morgan watching as Dutchwoman Kimberly Boss, who is in the top 4 of our World Cup with 4 podium finishes this year, gets ready to go. Only 15th place here. She didn't make the cut last year with injury. She's having a much better year this year.
Decent start times, Martin. One of the reasons why she's got 4 podium finishes. Didn't compete last week. She was in Altenburg at the Europa Cup getting a little pre-World Championship tease up or tune-up, but didn't have a very good first heat, Martin. I expect her to, if she can get through the Kreisel, I expect her to be on top of the leaderboard, maybe for a few sleds. But Martin, best speed, but she had problems down here in the first heat.
3,300s up. She's not got great history. Her best ever World Cup race, only 17th place here.
Dutch are pretty excited about this young athlete's results this year. Great speed in the bottom, 51.42. Martin, ooh, that's more like it. That's about 80-something. What's that, 80 hundredths better?
Yeah. She was 100th ahead of Maddie Smith in the first heat. Maddie had a good second heat. Kimberly is now half a second clear. That is a huge second run from Kimberly Boss. Don't know how to break here. Never had to.
There. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a great comment.
That hit.
She's
That's
never had so much speed.
Yeah. And then the exit of the famous Kreisel into what the Canadian athletes call the doodles, this little labyrinth down here that, boy.
Hello.
Well, it looks like Luki the Lion is doing a good job for Kimberly. Next up, Elena Frolova of Russia, second of our 3 Russian athletes. The 24-year-old has no previous World Cup knowledge of this track.
I think Kimberly Boss is going to leave in that leader's box a few sleds, Martin. That's my prediction. She had a very good second run. She had a very bad first run, and this isn't tennis where there's a let. They both count. There's the red numbers.
Now, Frolova's raced on this track 3 times previously, but she is not holding her pace, and she's in trouble in the Kreisel.
Right side exit.
Fifth best speed, so the question is she's going to fall at least 1. Martin, most likely 2 spots here. Her speed just drifts away in that uphill section, drops 3 spots. Kimberly, better get your jacket on. You might be there for a while.
Yes, exactly right. And of course, this is in the shade of the mountains here, so you're not in the sun. That's where tracks were originally built, on the north side of a mountain rather than the south side. So Elena Frolova also drops behind Yulia Kanakina, who she was ahead of in the first heat. And John, the Kreisel is all about making speed to the line.
Look at the toes. The left toe is up, the right toe is still dragging. The exit for a slingshot. She touches the wall. I mean, she gets 2 hits there. Not the way you want to do it, but Martin, she's only been here for a couple races. It's going to take a few more trips for her to figure that out.
Yep. So Kimberly Boss stays in the lead ahead of Maddie Smith and Yulia Kanakina. And next at the line is Laura Dees of Great Britain. 7th fastest start for Laura, but she is in 13th place, and her lead over Kimberly Boss was only 17 hundredths of a second. She's going to need to pull something out very special here to hold on to this position.
So we've seen a ballerina come down the track, a couple other track and field athletes, but this athlete lists her background, as we always talk about, is equestrian. She's the only equestrian athlete in the field, Martin, and she's also the bronze medalist from the 2018 Pyeongchang Olympic Games. Hasn't been on any type of that form since, Martin. She's been struggling.
1 World Cup win, 1 silver medal and 3 bronze medals, but as you say, not in the last couple of years. 4th best speed in the Kreisel and struggling.
I think Kimberly's going to get another one. Watch the speed in the left. Top 4. The green numbers going uphill. Could be red. There they are.
Now, Maddie Smith is half a second back from the leader, and Laura Dees is a 10th back, so Kimberly Boss stays in the leader's box, and Laura Dees slips 1 spot potentially.
Pretty good run, Martin. 37 hundredths improvement, but Kimberly Boss coming off that bad first run was like 84 hundredths improved, and that's why she's going to live in that leader's box. And, you know, let's see. Oh, I don't think so. The next sled down had a worse run than Kimberly Boss. There's the Kreisel. Look at that. You know, TV doesn't do it justice what's in there. Look at the right toe, left toe up in the air. That's the norm. Look how high she is. She's in the where all the other runner marks are. Dives out of there. Not bad. She comes over to the left side of our screen, the right for her, taps that wall. That's a no-no. Very easy for us to pass judgment on these athletes. It's different.
Laura watching the errors that she knows she's made. Kimberly Boss still leads, but next up, Kendall Westenberg of the USA. Again, a first heat that she would love to be able to improve on. 30-year-old, originally from California, now lives in Nashville, Tennessee. Matt Antoine, the
She's in a
coach
dead
behind
heat
her.
tie. Dead heat tie with Elizabeth Meyer of Canada. Kendall had the 20th best start time in the first run, Martin, and finishing in 11th. That's some good driving. She had good speed, but she needs good speed. She needs to be a perfect run with the deficient start time. But I mean, this track will show who's got the ability to generate speed and drive. She did that in the first run.
Best World Cup race here,
Speed in
ninth
the left.
place in 2016. And she's got good speed, big height.
Ooh, little sloppy 5. She should be able to overcome this deficiency, Mark. Speed in the left. Look at the speed. Oh, 7th best speed. That's not good. No, she lost it all, Martin, on the exit of Kreisel. She had the best speed going in, 7th best speed down here in the bottom. Kimberly lives for another slider.
Yeah, all got away from it. The Kreisel is so critical, isn't it? It dictates half the track. And Kendall was
She went slower
scrambling.
in her second run, Martin. She went slower. She's one of the first sleds we've seen go slower. 1,700 slower. And when you have a deficient start time, you can't make mistakes like this. In the first run, she really had one of the better runs of anybody. You could see the legs coming off the sled, the skidding. Best speed entering the Kreisel, 7th best speed at the next speed track.
Yeah, I had a good second. Nice. Like my best so far here ever, so yeah.
Kimberly Boss explaining how it all happens. Next up, Elizabeth Meyer again. Not the tidiest of runs. 2600s, her advantage over Kimberly Boss, exactly the same as Kendall Westenberg had. Elizabeth Meyer, though, starting
4th best.
5:01. Fourth best start.
Martin, a good run here. She could move up a lot of sleds. She was the worst sled on the exit of Kreisel of anybody. Look what groove she's in. She's over here on this side, Martin. She's a little bit different at the start, but hey, 5 flat for this young mother. We talk about it. We'll see her brother-in-law later in the day in the men's scouting, and we'll see her husband tomorrow in the 2 and the 4.
In fact, Sammy Meyer
Elizabeth
isn't here
needs
this
to have
weekend.
a clean.
He's doing Junior Worlds, so it'll just be Benny who's
On
racing.
St. Moritz.
Yeah.
Now this is where her albatross was in the first run. Let's watch the exit. Here, she can get through here. She can move up. Much better. That 2300 should grow. Speed in the left. Second best speed. Now she's in the graveyard section going uphill. No mistakes allowed. She's lost a little time back. This is going to be close. Yes, holds on. 51-55. 42 hundredths better, Martin. Almost a half second better. Elizabeth takes over the lead.
Yep. You saw Jeff Payne at the top, the Canadian who's helping to coach Anna Fernstedt, helping out Liz Meyer as well. So happy with that run.
That time in the first run would have put her in 5th, but the track is faster in this run. Good lines. Yep. She was perfect in the first run here too. Her albatross, this is great. It's the norm, the nice small hit, comes straight. Very experienced on this track, but this is where she didn't succeed in the first run. The exit of Kreisel, head up to get her bearings. Martin, big improvement.
Yeah. Left both her rotator cuffs on the wall in the first trip down through there, but gets away this time, and she is our race leader. 10 down, 10 to go. Elizabeth Meyer leads Kimberly Boss and Laura Dees in our 7th World Cup race here in Königssee. Well, what a stunning location. Down at the bottom is Königssee, the Royal Lake, the King's Lake, which is one of Germany's deepest and cleanest natural lakes. So clean, in fact, that the tourist boats that are normally plying their trade are all electric, so there's no pollution. And it's just another stunning location, isn't it? What a fabulous place to come and spend any time. We're so lucky to get to come to these places and be allowed to call it work.
Yeah, my first time here in '77, Martin. It's just as beautiful. The old downtown, just spectacular. In fact, that house on the left, Martin, is probably the house. I think it's the house I stayed in my first time. That's at the top of the track. Wow. These are farmers. The whole section to the right here is all a farming area. The really narrow property that the track exists on itself. But just an amazing setting, like most of our settings are on the sliding sports circuit.
Well, it kind of goes back to where this all came from, you know, sledges down a valley, you know, to get lumber or whatever from the top of the mountain. You don't go over the steep edges, you trickle down the valley, and that's exactly what the athletes are still trying to do, trickle down the valley without hitting the bits that stick out. So it's, you know, you look at this place, you look at places like La Plagne, it's almost where they were originally running sleds down the hill as you know, for work. And as you say, farmland alongside. Horses will be out enjoying the beautiful sunshine, and so will a lot of walkers, a lot of langlaufing going on around here as well. Long distance skiing, maybe some brave souls hiking up to the top of Grünstein there. Fabulous day for being outside. Königssee, Bavaria. First race of the weekend, Women's Skeleton World Cup. Martin Haven and John Morgan watching as we get to our final 10 sliders, and making her first World Cup appearance of the season, Germany's occasional slider. She slides all the time, but she's an occasional World Cup starter, Sophia Griebel.
Yeah, she's in that field of German athletes. Pretty tough for her to get a spot. You know, the two above her, Herman and Lolling. There's a couple others that she challenges with, but Martin, she's had World Cup medals before. She's a good slider, knows this track well. 500s down. The speed on the left is going to be the telltale sign. 7th best speed, not good. 1400s. It's falling away more. Best speed here in the bottom. So that's impressive.
This could be close. 1100s back. What's she got at the line? Not quite.
12.
So Elizabeth Meyer will be no worse than top 10. She was a couple of tenths back on Sophia Griebel, but Griebel couldn't hold it together in that second heat.
I think we're going to see Elizabeth Meyer move up a couple more sleds yet. She was, Sophia Griebel was only 1200ths better. Meyer was almost a half second better, but of course Meyer had the deficient first run. Look how high she gets here. That's not where you want to be. And then watch the feet here, watch the right foot. There's the rudder, left foot will come up. Watch her line. She's not up there in the frost. Now she's getting some confidence to exit. A lot of being brave there in that curve, Martin.
No kidding. Even when someone else is driving, it's quite ambitious, that corner. Next up, Katie Uhlaender for the USA. 11th best at the start, 9th at the bottom of the track. 1/10 in hand over Elizabeth Meyer. And Katie Uhlaender, a winner on this track all the way back in 2008. Beat Kirsten Jürgens and Marion Trott as she was then.
Same exact start time as the first heat. Martin might be the most experienced athlete in the field with the win way back then. She's probably got more starts on this track than anybody. And I mean, Katie's in the twilight of her career. She could slide 700s back, and that's pretty good considering the deficiency. She was 10 hundredths slower than Elizabeth Meyer. Only the 8th best speed, though, Martin. She still has a chance to be perfect here. 1300ths. Speed on the left. She's going to need a top 2 or 3 speed to have a chance. She's got 3.
Always good at building speed. 600ths of a second.
Best speed. Could do
and
it.
Across the line. No!
That shows you how much knowledge that Katie Eulander has on this track. She's a great slider. You know, she used to be one of the best starters in the field, Martin, in her early days. 300s.
How much experience?
But I don't
how much experience has she got? She was winning on this track when her coach at the top, Matt Antoine, was just starting in the World Cup. And she's still racing. That's how much experience she's got. This is World Cup start number 89 for Katie Eulander.
I don't think Katie had that bad a heat. I just think Elizabeth Meyer had a great heat off a bad first run. Boy, Katie really made some time up on the bottom. Only people with talent can do that.
Next week in Innsbruck will be her 90th World Cup race. Only 3 men have ever started more and no women. Next up, Kim Marmons of Belgium. She started sliding here as a schoolgirl, part of the German program originally, before branching out and sliding for Belgium with some success, 24 years old. Best result here, 6th position, a couple of years back.
Well, the start, she gets a great start, Martin. Sub 5 seconds, 4th best start in the first run. A little toe drag going in that first curve. I don't like that. Now she's got the 2nd best speed. That was that toe drag. The exit here. No, 1 tap, 2 taps. That's not good. Speed in the left. Gonna need a top 3 speed here. 11th best speed. If I'm Elizabeth Meyer, I'm liking this. Oh, dead heat though. You know, she's experienced enough to find the speed on the bottom. 4th best speed, green numbers. This is going right to the 100th, Martin.
She doesn't have the speed of Meyer. Meyer's going to lead. She does. It's very close. But Marmons drops 2 spots behind Katie Eulander. The top 3 are covered by 600ths of a second.
Pretty impressed with her start time this year, though, Martin. She wasn't getting those starts last year. But that toe touch up there at the top of the track, I think affected her 3 or 400ths. Here, 2 taps, right? So she had a bad exit there. 2, she should only have 1 tap there. Here's the 2nd tap. Corrects pretty well there, Martin, but that little mistake on the exit of the 4 S's.
That's one of the key points
Impressed
on
with
the
her
track.
start times, though.
Yeah, not happy with that 2nd heat. Didn't want to drop any spots. She'll be inside the top 10, though. Next up, Jane Channel of Canada. First World Cup start of the season for her. She raced in Altenburg last week, but before that, her previous race was Altenburg in the World Championships in February. So
she's been around, Martin.
Yeah, in her, how many World Cup starts is this? 48th World Cup start. Seems incredible. She's nearly at the 50 mark.
2nd best starter in the field in the first run. This is a good athlete, always has been, from North Vancouver. Now lives in Calgary. 496.
Yeah. Well, she was always quick, wasn't she? Let's see what 11 months away from the ice has done to her. Certainly kept the fire burning over the summer and the long autumn.
1 hit there. 4/10 speed in the left. Top 5 speed at least. Top 3, that's good. 4000s, probably going to get out of 25, 3000s here. A lot of drag in there. 4700s, way better than I thought. This is for a top 7, Martin. 4th best speed. Should be the leader. Oh, yeah, she's flying.
Good run from Jane Channel. She'll be the leader with 6 to go. So it's a Canadian 1-2. Jane Channel leads from Elizabeth Meyer, and that was a huge run from Jane Channel.
4,500s better. Martin, at this pace, the track record's definitely going down for those top 3 sliders.
Well, has Tina Herman got half a second of improvement within herself? You know, she might get a 10th or 2 from the track, but yeah, definitely. And Jane Channel, that first World Cup appearance since February last year. That's a lot, January almost last year. That's a long time away. Her World Cup best ever here, 6th. She leads with 6 to go. What a comeback.
Yeah, Martin, remember, disappointing for her. She was somehow lost the selection race to go to the World Championships in her home track of Whistler. That was very disappointing. And with the start time she's got, boy, she's got a chance every time she comes out.
All right, 6 to go. This could be a huge day for Great Britain's Brogan Crowley. Brogan in her 5th ever World Cup race. She's not raced World Cup here. She's been here in the Europa Cup and Intercontinental Cup. She had a storming first heat. She's now got to forget about everything and just mellow out. 4:99 start. Wow, she is really gunning for this.
5:03 in the first run. Wow. See if this young athlete, I said she was the most impressive athlete in the top 10, Martin. Boy, there was some skidding there, though. Lots of skidding. Speed here, 15th best speed. She's going to fall a number of spots, Martin.
Yeah.
Her first run was 5-star. This one's not.
Well, there's a 0.6 of a second gap between Jane Channel and Elizabeth Meyer. She might still just drop into that, or just ahead of Katie Eulander, who's 0.6 back. Oh, she drops a couple more
4 spots.
Yeah. Well, that will still give her her first ever top 10 finish. She will be
Martin,
no
everybody
worse
else is going
than
faster.
10th. Yep.
Everybody else going faster. She went 3,300 slower. Only 2 sleds in the field have gone slower in the second run. But she's really a rookie. It's her first World Cup in this track. And, you know, this is the skidding.
Races. Yeah, the tap here puts her a little into a skid.
But watch the sideways element here. That's really right here, too, Martin. Those 2 little 3 skids going into the Kreisel. Yeah. Still, great result. You're going to hear a lot more about this athlete as we go down this road to China.
5 sleds to go here in Königssee, and we have still 3, quote, German sliders, because Anna Fernstedt of the Czech Republic started in the German program, raced for Germany, trained here, grew up here, went to school here. And this is definitely home ice for her. Top 5 for the Czech athlete. Her best here, though, 3rd place in December 2016.
Look at the start time, Martin. She has the 21st start, the worst start in the field in the first run, and she finished in 5th. She also had the 2nd best speed. Not a surprise. 1,300s back. The speed on the left in Kreisel will tell it all. There it is. Martin, she is the queen of speed. She's right in that class with the other 2 German athletes we're going to see coming up. Mistake there, though.
Gaps back down to 900. She's closing on Jane Channel with the best speed so far. Anna Fernstedt in the green. Top speed again. She will take the lead.
51:38, only 100th better, Martin. I don't think that was as good a run as she had in the first run.
No.
Little mistake.
Agreed.
On the bend away. She's only 100th better. She should have been 20, 30 better, like Jane Channel, like Elizabeth Meyer, Katie Eulander. All were better.
She's going to rely on mistakes.
Only 3 athletes.
From the athletes still to come, and they're not
right here's the
making
mistake. Watch the left side. Left side of Kreisel, exit of Kreisel, that's the mistake that cost her not going 2-3 tenths better in this heat. Right here, show it again, Martin. Bang. Doesn't look like much, but then she's got a skid. She corrected very well.
Well, think how many times she has come out of Kreisel in her career, and it's still hard to nail. 4 to go. World Cup points leader Janine Flock, 5th in the race here last year. She has been in the medals on this track, but that was back in 2013 when Noelle Piker's pace was the gold medalist.
5:13 start. She had the 10th, 5:10 in the first run. Martin, she's the World Cup leader. She's 90 points ahead of Tina Herman. And between this race and next race in Innsbruck, where it's her home track, but Tina Herman owns that track. So this is probably going to be pretty relevant to who's going to win the World Cup title in this heat right here.
Janine Flock with the lead and the best speed out of the Kreisel and in all sorts of trouble. 3,400 up,
that's so
has gone to nothing. She's going to lose ground to Anna Fernstedt and maybe to Jane Channel. Second at the line. Okay, it gets closer.
Points. How many points? 210 do you get for 5th?
225, 210, 200, yeah.
41. So she could half it right there. She finishes where she is. She's going to lose 45.
It'll come down to Innsbruck, won't it?
Yeah, right down there. Well, if she can finish in the top 3 in Innsbruck, she'll win. But this didn't help. This was the worst run on the exit of Kreisel in the last 10 sleds. And this is the World Cup leader. This shows you what the challenge of this track, the World Cup leader.
Still with a smile on her face. So we have 3 to go. Anna Fernstedt, Janine Flock, Jane Channel. The top 3. Are any of our remaining athletes going to give away a medal? Chances are not. Jacqueline Lurling, 3 straight wins on this track. December 16, World Championships February 17, and then November 17 as well. So she's been the silver medalist a couple of times as well. 3 silver medals and 3 wins on this track in her 6 races here. Never out of the top 2.
Tallest athlete in the field. 17th best start with a 5:18 in the first run. This heat, 5:15. She improved by 300ths. Martin in the speed. Now watch the form. This might be the best form of any athlete coming down this ice canal. Watch her in the Kreisel. This is where you can really, now watch, you see the number 1. That's always, look at her feet. Barely. She's got 2 little touches. 4 tenths. Look at her just come right down the doodles like it was a straightaway.
Only second best speed.
Yep.
But best out of Echo. How does she do that? Wow, big run, 51.07.
1600ths better.
That's 100th quicker than Elena Nikitina. No, 100th quicker than Nikitina went in the first heat, so that's an improvement from her as well. She's happy with that on the podium again. Yep, at least. But she's never been out of the top 2 here. Will that streak continue?
Well, Elena Nikitina is not as consistent as Lurling. Look at the right number. She's going to bring it out again. The right foot's going to come out again. Right there. And then the exit. She dives out of there, Martin. Does she tap the wall? I don't know if she taps there, but look how straight she goes the rest of the way through the labyrinths, the doodles. There's her parents.
The family. Two to go. Elena Nikitina to try and win this race. Nikitina absent last week, but she won in Innsbruck and in Winterberg.
488, the track record's 488 that she set in the first run. She just matched it. It's unbelievable how much better she is at the start. But she needs to be consistent here. Something she's not.
Great exit from the S's.
Speed, top 5 speed will do it. 8. It's going to come back here, Martin. The exit here, she's got to be clean. She's not. Trouble.
Our track announcer getting very excited. The speed has gone away. Nikitina is going to drop out of the medals. Fernstedt is holding her breath. And she is 5th at the line. Jacqueline Lerling, 1st or 2nd in every race, keeps that alive. And that was a disastrous exit from the Kreisel for Elena Nikitina.
Anna Fernstedt will be in the bronze medal at least. We've seen the world. We saw this athlete. Look at her. She's so disappointed. But that's what this track can do to you. The World Cup leader. World Cup leader. And
over a second slower, here. John. Over a second slower. And look at this.
This is the leader of the race. Look at that.
That was a crash.
That'll be in the highlight film for next year when those guys look at those pictures. The leader.
Oh, that was a punishing run down through the doodles. And, you know, and this is 100th of a second of a mistake in your steering. Yeah. Katie Uhlaender giving Anna Fernstedt the congrats, and Tina Hermann to win this. Tina going for her 2nd win of the season, her 2nd in a week. She won in St. Moritz last weekend.
There's no victory lap here, Martin. We just saw the World Cup leader and the best starter in the world succumb to the exit of Kreisel. But Hermann, you know, like her teammate Lerling, doesn't get the great start. But the queen of speed here, she had 119 kilometer speed average in the first run. No one else, only one other sled could get near 118. So no one does it better. But Martin, the Albatross, the exit of Kreisel's coming up. Best speed, only one more spot, really, right here. Not perfect,
she's in trouble. Somebody is going to take their 12th career gold medal in women's skeleton. It'll be Jacqueline Lerling, not Tina Hermann. Is she going to finish in the medals? Is Fernstedt going silver? Oh, no! My Lord!
Janine Flock, so there's the World Cup title. If I'm Janine Flock, I think she just won the World Cup title by default. That's unbelievable. Martin, what we've seen, 3 of the last 4 sleds.
Home ice for Tina Hermann. Track record in the first heat, and the pain is more than physical.
This track just showed its persona.
Wow.
What can you say?
What a tough
one. The
one.
World Cup leader. What, you know, there's Janine Flock, you know, consoling her. But Martin, the last 2 sleds. Look at these pictures. This isn't the 20th best person in the field. This is the world champion, the leader, who had 3/10 of a lead. Watch
and
this
she was
picture.
off the sled. That's even worse a crash than Nikitina's. She was off the sled. Oh my goodness. And this is her home track.
I said at the top of the track it would be no victory lap. What a way to win through default.
Whoa.
That's crazy, Martin. 3 of the last 4 sleds coming down.
Astonishing.
Astonishing.
Astonishing. So Jacqueline
Königssee,
Lerling, career
at its
win
best.
number at its best and its worst. Anna Fernstedt goes from 5th to silver. Janine Flock goes from 4th to bronze. Jane Channel tied for the bronze medal. Didn't spot that. Ahead of Elena Nikitina,
Oh, we
Elizabeth
didn't
Meyer,
see
Katie
that.
Hewlander,
Wow.
and Brogan Crowley up from 9th because the leader of the track record holder, the hometown queen, gave her a spot in the final heat. Unbelievable. What drama already. I've got goosebumps. What drama. We've got the one race done. We've got
Martin,
5 more to go.
Martin, let me say this. The persona of the Königssee track just spoke right there. That's unbelievable what we just saw. This is one for the ages, what we just saw, Martin. Lowling?
Yeah.
Well, of the last 4 sleds coming down the track, she was the only one to get through the exit of Kreisel successfully. The other 3, the track, just one for the ages, Martin. It was, wow.
Yeah.
You and I have done a lot of work here. You and I have done a lot of commentary on that track. I'd have never seen anything like that.
That was a classic Königssee race, wasn't it? I did the luge here the first weekend of January, and boy, that was entertaining as ever. And Jacqueline Lurling, well, 3rd after the first heat, but the 2 women that beat her had set track records. Janine Flock now, you do the math, John, she could give it away. Tina Hermann could be the World Cup queen, so could Jacqueline Lurling, if it all goes to Helena Handcart in Innsbruck for Janine Flock. But she has extended her advantage over Hermann with 1 race to go. And Anna has moved up ahead of Kimberly Boss into 4th.
Innsbruck doesn't have the same personality as Königssee. There's no exit of Kreisels in Innsbruck the way there is in Königssee. I'm still buzzing about that result. Wow.
Well, you're going to have to keep that level of amp up because we have a men's skeleton race coming up here as well. There's 2-man bob and monobob on Saturday. There's 4-man and women's bobsleigh on Sunday, and none of those are going to be a walk in the park either. Well, that's it from race 7 of the BMW IBSF Women's Skeleton World Cup in Königssee, Bavaria. The season finale awaits them in Innsbruck, Austria, a week from now. Thank you for being with us. From John Morgan, me, Martin Haven, and the IBSF TV crew in Königssee. Bye for now.